So I wanted to share about how Dr. Jenn Cooley, she says the messenger mistook himself for the author. The echo mistook herself for the voice. The ego mistook itself for the source, but the source remained silent. Sometimes we get confused about the messenger or the echo, and we think the echo was just the voice. We think the voice is really just the echo. We think that the author is the messenger. And on Instagram, FemPulse Official, FEMPULSE Official, it says psychologists consider demisexuality to be part of the asexual spectrum. However, demisexual people can experience strong romantic sexual attraction just only towards someone with whom they've formed deep emotional connection. They think demisexuality is not a choice or a matter of having high standards. For a demisexual person, physical appearance alone usually does not trigger sexual attraction. Trust, emotional closeness, and a deep connection typically comes first. So I think it's interesting, like the way in which the layers, like what's the echo, what's the echo and what's the voice. In Rosh Hashana 17a, it says, whoever passes over his feelings, all his sins are passed over. And in the Zohar, we learn that visions are known through the eye of the mind of the heart. So there's layers, okay? So we learned just now that whoever passes over his feelings, his sins are passed over. These feelings, it means somebody who doesn't act only on his feelings. In other words, on his carnal lust. Somebody who actually has trust, emotional closeness, true attraction, deep connection, instead of just the initial feeling, somebody, the male. And then also we learned that there's a mind of a heart. So it's not just the heart, it's the mind of the heart. It's the eye of the mind of the heart. So it's like the echo of the voice. We start to go deeper. And I was thinking a lot about how we have this like umbilical cord. This would have been in my mind toward a surrogate parent, or that someone's looking to us to be the surrogate parent with the umbilical cord. I think of my father even with his umbilical cord looking that he should be the cute, needy one, like the child. I think of the man from over 10 years ago, this man, Binyamin, very abusive man that I was involved with. I felt he wanted to kill my inner child, like he actually wanted to kill the child in me. Like you would think the virgin identity self. And in order to mother him, like he wanted to kill my child so that I would be only his mother. There was another man named Aaron who expected me to always be the bigger person. Like he came with his mommy issues and expected me to like be further ahead, like I was more of a mommy than he was a daddy. And I realized that trying to make someone become a parent to me, like perform or pacify, does not actually allow for alignment, which is free choice, which comes from their adult self. And I think about a man more recently, although I'm glad he's already in my past, but his name was Shmuel W. Yeshua. I don't even want to say his name. It kind of disgusts me a little. But anyway, it happened both ways. Like both of our inner children were looking for a parent. We were like trying to plug in, and both of us were unpleasantly surprised that, the umbilical cord went two-way. It wasn't like one person was able to be the parent. And he wanted almost to be seen like a pet, like a sweet, like the sweet, innocent, vulnerable one. But he wouldn't let me be like the sweet, innocent, vulnerable one. He was very cruel. If you would think he would see me that way, he was extremely cruel to a vulnerable, innocent, sweet kind of person. Anyway, I remember in trying to be a good wife, I was very confused. I thought God wanted me to be a good wife to him. But actually, it turns out that I felt like most of the time I was actually trying to be a good mom. So first of all, I saw him as a child when he watched. I saw like this vision of like him watching, like I saw the pattern, how it came about from something, and what the something was, the echo. I heard the voice when I heard the echo. The echo what showed me that the voice, the original self, the original experience he went through was as a child watching others in his family get affection from his mom that he wished for. It was used to make him jealous and kill his desire for like that flesh, not sexual flesh, but like to be caressed, soothed, kissed, and hugged. And his need for touch and connection and pleasure. And it reminded me of how, like, when I was a kid, well, first of all, it reminded me of why he once told me how PDA, like public displays of affection, would be something he would really want. And I said, okay, whatever, I'd be happy to do it with you. And then also how his, obviously once I'm married. And then also, but we didn't get married, thank God. So then the other thing was how my father used to cuddle my sisters while I looked on rejected. So I would try to not put him through that, but that's coming from a wounded inner child that was thinking I wouldn't be creative, intentional, frequent, and touching. Another thing is I felt sorry for his inner child, that he was so lonely and his life was so empty. I was like, I'll bring him to classes, to gatherings on the Sabbath, on Shabbos, to meals, and give him friends so he will never be bored and alone. And I'll take him to nature and the park and co-regulation with him for peace and inner peace and nervous system regulation. And then I thought, I'll see always the good in him, like a child. I'll give him unconditional positive regard and appreciation. Like, this is what I thought a good wife is, to mother him. I would appreciate his discipline, his endurance, his might. I would look away from everything he did I didn't like, and all the red flags, and all the ways he was cruel and disrespectful and neglectful. And I was going to, say, oh, he doesn't judge me out loud. He doesn't complain. He doesn't give me pressure. He gives me attention. I mean, and a lot of this is not true. This was like a moment that I idealized him, so that I could be in love with love, maybe. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But anyway, that he's conscious and patient, that he controlled his tongue, that he, was giving, like I idealized him withdrawing from me and not talking to me. Oh, he's controlling his tongue. He has a big temper. He's controlling it. Like, rather than he's actually bonding with me, like we're spending quality time I wasn't getting words of affirmation and positive feedback that often, but every little bit he gave, I would write it down, like, this is from him. It's everything. Other people were giving me kind words. I could have told myself, but from him, it mattered. It was like, the one who I made the father, I was trying to mother also. So it becomes from my relationship with my father. I had to mother my father in order to get fathering. So anyway, this willingness to adjust for me to feel safer, respected, which did not continue. Willingness to be more communicative and available, which I didn't feel continued. His forbearance and self-sufficiency and sharing, and his independence, which, to be honest, sometimes it seemed like toxic. Like, the times where he wanted to need me, the times where he needed me, he wanted to be, like he didn't need me. Like, it wasn't both of us able to let our hair down and be real. And I know a man being vulnerable lowers his testosterone, but this man seemed to be cut off from his desires, it was like, it would be fine actually if he could lower his testosterone for a little and then build it up, Anyway, so I felt he let me control the sexuality pace and level, but really he was repressing his sexuality and his desires and his feelings. I felt that he was sharing what he knew, what he's learning, but he actually didn't share very much. It was a little bit of time he shared, and then he sort of just left me hanging. And I would look to him for guidance. He would not provide. I thought he was willing to be soft, cozy, funny, laughing, and mushy, but it was only when it was convenient for him and when he wanted to be seen as a cutie, I thought he was forgiving and grace, but he would punish me very severely. I thought he wasn't petty, and he had good listening skills, but he actually didn't care what I had to say. And he ignored a lot of my voice notes, videos, messages. He didn't answer the calls, and he did so from a petty place. And I thought he would comfort me during a panic attack, but actually the panic attack was because he was trying to make me feel confused, unwanted, stretched too far apart. Like, on the one hand, he doesn't want me, on the other hand, he's being kind to me, loving, and it was just too much for me. And he caused that panic attack. What's going on here? Is this what love is? This is what I waited for. And then, other times I was having panic, he was not there for me at all. He actually abandoned me. I thought he was growth-oriented, with vulnerability and exposing himself. Nope, he was extremely closed off and withdrawn, and actually very difficult to bond with for that reason. I was the bond. I had to become the bond. The mother is the bond. The umbilical cord comes from the mother to the baby in the mother. That's how it felt like the bond was, until he said, I want to be free and cut you off. And I said, sure. And then he didn't know that it would be the way that it was. Anyway, which is very empowering for me, because this relationship took a big toll on me feeling like these gifts that I have and my patience, and it should be a two-way street. Why am I doing all this when he's not? Why, I was seeing, oh, he's willing to be kind. He lets me control this, he's willing to be, he honors his own pace and limits, but he was not honoring his pace. He was not honoring his limits. He didn't communicate. He gave me silent treatment, shut down, blocked me, unblocked me. He was not willing to be kind. The moments where kindness would have been what I really needed from him, he was specifically unkind, which made me feel so unsafe in a world. People are not kind when you let your guard down. And I thought he really appreciated me, because he told me I'm raw, passionate, real, deep, sincere, emotional, good heart. But he didn't appreciate me. He treated me like I wasn't valuable. He treated me like it's not worth respecting me. It was really, really unfair to me, going through that. I felt one thing I really enjoyed was that he blessed me whenever I wanted, whenever I asked. But there was a couple times where he was you could tell that he was just mirroring the words. I thought those empty words mattered, but I realized at a certain point when the feeling's not there, it's like a puppet. And if he didn't want to do things on his own, I had to ask for a blessing. He didn't ever want to do things on his own. At one point, I had to beg him to chip in with me $250, $150 to buy me flowers. And it just made it harder because it was like for Shabbos, for the Sabbath. Like, it would have been a blessing for him. I felt that he tried to keep his word, but there were plenty of times where he did not keep his word to me. One thing I really liked was always doing hands and smiley emoji, but at a certain point I realized it was more for him. In order to not have like genuine discussion, he would just do that every time, like, so that I wouldn't actually, like, I would just think he's always smiling at me. He wanted to be the one that is always smiling. Meanwhile, he maybe wasn't smiling. So I didn't get a real person. I got like, a fake person. So anyway, I'm going to stop here. Wish everybody all the best, a really great week. May we have a week where there's lots of softness. That's what we need. Okay, bye.